Guess who finally beat The Last of Us 2? This guy! And I have some thoughts. Okay, I should start by saying this will contain major spoilers for The Last of Us 1 and 2. I highly recommend playing both games before watching this review. But if you don't care or already played them, hello and welcome to my review, and let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the first one. I love almost everything about this game, from the characters, the gameplay, and the atmosphere. I can't tell you how many scenes have stuck with me from that game. But most of all, the two main characters, you might have heard of them, Ellie and Joel. I adore these two together. Ellie has the father she never knew she needed, and watching Joel go from this...
Guess what? We're shitty people, Joel. It's been that way for a long time.
No, we are survivors.
This is our chance.
It is over, Tess!
to this...
I struggled for a long time with surviving. And you... no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for.
is just a delight. But maybe he goes a little too far. Anyways, I could go on and on about the first game for a while, but I mainly want to talk about that ending. After Joel finds out that the Fireflies can find a cure, just at the cost of Ellie's life, he decides to put a stop to this and basically starts acting like Doomslayer if the Fireflies were demons.
I ain't got time for this.
Where?
Top floor, the far end.
After he manages to get Ellie out of there, the game ends shortly after, and this ending left me staring at the screen like a 2-year-old. I was left asking myself, was that good? I started picking it apart, and maybe Joel didn't move on from his daughter's death. He physically could not lose another daughter, this time being Ellie, even if it means potentially fixing the world. But maybe this world should never go back to the way it was. Zombies are just kind of an obstacle, and we see that people have become the real monsters. We even find out Joel has done some pretty horrible things just to survive. Would a vaccine really make everything better? Probably. Alright, I'm rambling, but this is what a good ending should accomplish. It makes you question everything that came before it. Needless to say, I was excited for the sequel, and after finally completing it, I had some problems. I'll start by saying the gameplay is solid. They took everything regarding the combat and improved on it. When you kill a person, it really feels like you are killing a real character. Their death noises are so guttural and brutal, I started to feel bad. The actors all do an incredible job, and the facial animation is some of the best I've ever seen, and really lets the actors shine through. Now, let's get to the point of the video and why I think The Last of Us 2's story is a mess. As most of you know by now, Joel is killed very early in the game, setting the game in motion and starting Ellie on her quest for revenge. Now, Joel's death is very disappointing. His whole character now feels incomplete. He did this act and never really finishes his arc. You do get some flashback scenes throughout the game and learn Joel's thoughts, but in the end, Joel is still dead and never really faces what he's done, besides just being killed by the daughter of the doctor that was going to perform the surgery on Ellie. And Joel doesn't really find out why these people want to kill him.
You don't get to rush this.
Alright, let's talk about Abby. We find out Abby is the daughter of the surgeon that Joel killed while saving Ellie. This makes you feel a little for Abby, but my problem is, no one wakes up the girl they are about to kill and ask her for her opinion? Like, just because your daughter says it's okay makes it all the better? Like, she's right there, wake her up. Just ask her. I apologize, that was a little unprofessional.
I'd want you to do the surgery.
For the first half of the game, you play as Ellie going out to avenge Joel, and I was actually enjoying this part. Ellie and Dina were fun together, it had interesting themes, but right when we reach the climax, where Ellie and Abby finally face off, it cuts, and you have to play a whole 10 hours as Abby, and this is where the game comes to a grinding halt for me. This whole section is long, pretty boring, and unfortunately I didn't really care about a lot that happened. I won't get too much into it, but there's a whole cult that basically Abby has to deal with. She makes some friends along the way. That's a real brief explanation of it, but my point is this whole section felt like nothing. I wasn't invested in this character or story as much as I was in Ellie. This part feels like a stretched out DLC add-on, and when we finally return to the climax, it has you play as Abby and you have to fight Ellie. After some time has passed, Ellie and Dina are living on a farm, raising a kid together. After this whole sequence, the game just kind of awkwardly switches back and forth between Ellie and Abby. Tommy finds Abby, Ellie goes after Abby, they fight, and Ellie learns to be the better person and lets her go. Ellie comes back, her girlfriend takes the kid and leaves Ellie alone, and that's the end. Great. Look, I'm a fan of everyone can die type stories. People are dying left and right in this game, but to kill Joel at the very start, who was the main character in the first one, with his arc feeling incomplete, it leaves the rest of the game feeling empty. I wish the story would have gone more like this. Maybe Tommy should have died instead of Joel. Maybe Abby struggles to kill Joel, and Ellie and Tommy end up breaking free, and Tommy accidentally gets shot, so Joel is the one going out to avenge his brother, while Ellie tries to follow him, and at the end have Joel come to terms that what he did in that hospital was wrong. And maybe at the end, he could end up sacrificing himself for Ellie and Abby, completing his arc. I don't know, I think this fixes a lot of issues I had with the story in this game. Everything's basically the same, you just switch out Tommy with Joel, and just change up the ending a little bit. And while we're at it, you can just make that whole Abby sequence a DLC add-on.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad. We are going our separate ways.
I've never really done a review like this before, but I really want to get my thoughts about this game out there, even if it's extremely late. And that's my short little review. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.